Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast, absolutely non-league, the show dedicated to everything from the National League North, National League South, and as always, we are in collaboration with a fantastic NL Full-Time. I mean, we've got a lot to talk about in this one, haven't we? We've got confirmed teams for playoffs, we've got confirmed teams for relegation. We've got drama in the title race as well, which we will get onto. I don't think I've quite recovered yet. But yes, plenty to talk about. And what a team we've got this evening as well. Very impressed with tonight's team. I love the others dearly, don't get me wrong, but I feel like we've gone really strong tonight. Definitely. If we were doing like a five-a-side and there was only four of us of like a football team or whatever, but knowledge, I feel like I've got a great range of knowledge with you guys, so I can chill a bit.
We'll go rush, no keeper. We'll have rush keeper.
Exactly. We'll go rogue. We'll do a sleeper keeper. But of course, I'll come to you first, Ben. How are you and how's your Monday been?
I'm okay, yeah. Starting to wind down, aren't we, now towards the end of the football season? 2 games to go, the cup final still left, and then hopefully I can have a little bit of a break. But yeah, no, I'm okay. It's not really too much more to add, to be honest. Same stuff, different week, really. I'll keep it PG. How are you, Shah?
It's a mad one when it comes to football, right? Because obviously I'm not sleeping at night. I've got loads on my mind. I'm not sleeping at night. I'm so invested in the whole of football and how it's ending. But I know as soon as football season does come to an end, within a week, I'm going to really miss it at the same time. But yeah, I'm really, really good. Still as dramatic as ever, which we will get onto. But yeah, I'm doing well. And football aside, I'm doing very, very well too. Thank you. And of course, I did mention we are in collaboration with the fantastic guys from NL Full-Time. So Rob, I will come to you first. How are you and how's your Monday been? Has it been a busy one?
It's always a busy one for me. I was glad to get it done almost in time. I'll put my hands up and say, sorry, viewers. The reason for the slightly late start was me stuffing my face after I finished work. Thank you, Shah, for buying me a few extra minutes there.
Okay.
Yeah, weekend was fantastic. Not so good on the pitch, but equally really good to be there to witness Gateshead's incredible achievement to stay up. More on that to come.
Fantastic, wasn't it? Fantastic. And last but not least, Joe, how are you and how's your Monday been? I know we've obviously all pretty much got the football on as well now. Don't know if Sam's in the chat at the moment, but he won't be very happy. But I know you had a smile on your face, didn't you, Joe?
Yeah. Just more so to see that Spurs may go down, which would be quite funny to see. But yeah, good Monday, good weekend for my team, especially. Really good performance and results. So yeah, really, really good.
And of course, before we do talk some football, we've got a lot of people in the chat. So we do have Spenny Fan Chris. He's put good evening all. And he's also put, it's coming to the end of the season in the National League. We've still so much to confirm. The highs and lows being a football fan. The promotions, the relegations, fighting for playoffs and so on. And he's also put, we love this sport we call football. Sometimes we do. He's also put, we welcome Harbour Town, Buxton. I can't even say. Thank you. I saw loads of eyes and panicked. And Walton and Hersham to the league. Not sure on the National Premier League team just yet. We say goodbye to those have been relegated from the north and the south. We do.
That's a really good shout that about those sides coming in. And we were a bit pushed for time with our own podcast yesterday. And after I finished, I thought, we'll embrace it next week. But yeah, it's nearly done and dusted. Just that NPL is still to be decided between 2 or 3 sides, isn't it?
I love this time of the season, honestly. I get really excited. We've got good evening all. Hope you're okay as well. Yorkshire drummer. I'm waiting for all the York fans to come in. Like we said last week, they were out in numbers, weren't they? Out in numbers. Just thinking next week's pod, we could be don't do this to me. We're not allowed to talk this yet anyway. That is last. National League's last. We have got as well, also Leeds are 2-0 up over Manchester United. They're playing very well from what I've seen as well. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Graham. Hope you're good. It's one of them I didn't know. I know it's not Premier League, but I thought they'd be a lot more fresher than this Manchester United because they've had a lot of time off, haven't they, with being in no cups or anything. So pretty shocked, to be fair. But sometimes you can kind of lose that momentum not playing for so long, can't you?
Yeah, get a bit rusty.
Yeah, like we saw in the playoffs as well, obviously, last season. Danny as well, good evening. I had the pleasure of meeting Danny as well at the awards evening at Dale on Saturday as well. So thank you so much for that, Danny, and thank you for coming in and supporting as always. We've got as well, good evening, Shah, Ben, Rob and Joe. Hope all 4 of you are well. We are very well, thank you. You're very well. Evening, you lovely lot. I don't know who he's speaking to. It's definitely not me. Hope you're all well. You've got as well, all fair, Rob, with coming back from work and stuff in your face. It
Bit of honesty, eh? Yeah.
Oh, Ben!
Yeah, no, I can concur with that. They've been doing that to me for nearly 20 years. So yeah, that's a very fair comment. That I was going to say nice trim though, Matt. It's not,
yeah, great trim.
Thank you.
Great trim.
And just say, Ben, just a good retort is that you've still got as much hair as you were born with, so don't worry.
Yeah, true.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
Exactly. We've got Sean as well. We love football. Well, you can love football tonight because we don't have to talk Northampton, Sean. So at least that's a bonus. You don't have to send in any match reports. Is really struggling to send in a positive match report at the minute on my Thursday show, bless him. We've got Steve as well. Evening all, another week, another battering. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Check the 4 faces and see which one's got the smug look on it right now, Steve.
I love it. And you're still lovely. Football is only for the weekend. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And we've got as well another Kent team added to the National League South and a proper local derby next year. Folkestone versus Dover.
Yeah.
We are actually going to start with the South as well this evening. I'm hoping my graphics are all right. They're looking good so far. So, Ben, I'm going to come to you first. You don't have to talk Maidstone yet. Anything on here that you do want to talk about?
I mean, you have got to start with the league leaders, I think. You know, normally we've just become accustomed to it, but to come back from behind against Dagenham, put 7 past them. I mean, we know Dagenham have got virtually nothing to play for now, and obviously that was pretty much confirmed after Saturday. But that's a sign of champions, that I think, you know, to have that mentality. They've been able to go and recruit well as well in the last few weeks. Obviously, the addition of Victor Mikowski from Slough, who's one of the most probably creative players, outside of the the big size, like maybe the top 7. To get him amongst their ranks for the run has been a massive bonus for them. And you've got to give Adam Hinchelwood so much credit for what he's done down there. I think they took a lot of criticism, I think, at the beginning of the sort of the calendar year, where they had a real dip in form. They went 7-8 without a win, and everyone probably thought they're doing typical Worthing again. But they pulled it back, and they could potentially, obviously, with results go their way, and obviously Hornchurch playing tomorrow, they could well have the title sealed by Saturday. Whoever they come to, Maidstone United. So obviously we're going to be trying doing everything we can to stop that. But that'd be a tough one for us to play for. But yeah, no, Worthing, they've been flirting with with promotion for the last 3-4 years. Ever really since they got promoted from the Isthmian League. But it almost feels like now it's their time to have a go and have a crack at the National League. But still got 2 big cup finals and against 2 tough sides as well that are still, chasing something at the moment. So they've got a lot of work to do, but I'm sure they'll be confident in themselves they can get it done.
Definitely. Rob, I am going to come to you next. Any on here you want to give a mention to?
Yeah, I'll go slightly unorthodox. I'm going to mention Dover 1, Farnborough 3.
Yes.
As a local club to Aldershot that have very good relations.
Probably lost Rob.
think we have lost Rob.
Oh no.
Bless him. I'll give it a minute to see if it catches up. We completely lost him.
And their results have matched each other virtually every week, actually. You have to feel a little bit for Chippenham because they have been really making a fight of it. But they've run out of games and opportunities to pick up points. So shame for Chippenham, who drew 1-1 at Hampton. But yeah, Farnborough 3, Dover 1. Great to see Borough keeping their place for next season.
Definitely. And Joey, I'm going to come to you, but we're going to leave Torquay for the moment. I'm going to keep you hanging. Is there any on here that you do want to talk about?
Yeah, I think I'll probably shine some light on Bath. Probably the result that I didn't expect this week against a really good Chesham side, who obviously are in the mix for that playoff still. Yeah, and I definitely didn't expect Bath to go and win that one. That there has been signs of improvement, back-to-back wins at home under Scott Bartlett, and it looks like they will go down. Obviously, they've still got that game in hand, which means they're not mathematically relegated, even though they sit 22nd. Yeah, I think there's some good signs, and even if they do go down, which is looking likely, I think they'll be really confident going into next year that under a good coach that they'll be right up at the top end of that Southern League. But yeah, whilst they're still not mathematically relegated, that was a really good performance to beat Chesham. 2 goals to Donovan Wilson as well. He's had his time out through injury, but always a decent strike on his day. He got 2 goals and yeah, a really good performance in Bath, especially after going down so heavy last weekend away at Torquay. To bounce back and beat Chesham in such convincing fashion is a good sign.
Just a little footnote on that one. Has any manager had a crazier year than Scott Bartlett? So he starts the season absolutely flying at Weston-super-Mare.
Yeah.
Gets them on the beginning of a decent cut run as well. And then he gets promoted to the National League and a job at Eastleigh. That comes to an end within, the first 6 months or so, whatever it was. And now he goes back down to the National League South. And obviously through no fault of his own, Bath all bar mathematically down now. If they win the next 3 games, 15-0 or whatever and all that stuff, but they're going down. And interestingly, their next game is away to Dorking Wanderers, a rather big game, or potentially might not be, depending on what Worthing do. But I don't want to steal whoever's thunder wants to talk about Tottenham and Dorking, but I can't take all the games, so I'll shut up.
You go for it, Rob, if you want to. Honestly, whoever wants to talk about it, you're more than welcome to.
It's the 3rd consecutive defeat for Dorking. They're in a bad run, their worst run of the season. They've had their long list of players out on adversity throughout the season, but I'm not sure that they've ever had a situation so dire defensively where they already didn't really have any defensive options to bring on, but then 2 of the defenders that started the game went off to potentially season ending in. Well, I think both have been confirmed now, Annesley and sadly Tony Craig, who's going to retire. So if people get fed up of hearing Mark talk about it in his interviews, he's quite right to, because it is the biggest factor. It's the biggest reason why they weren't able to hold on to their 6 or 7 point lead that they had, because they literally been treading water and struggling to get a team out. As he also rightly says, should the wheels have come off as much as they have? Probably not. And should they have, lost on Saturday? Probably not. But full credit to Tottenham, who, by the way, only had 4 players on the bench themselves. But it's a similar story, I think, if definitely in 2, if not all 3 matches, where an hour gone, Dorking have been at 1-1, and then they can't reinforce things. They can't find another gear, and other teams are seeing them off late on. And that's how I saw it. Did either of you chaps see it differently?
No, I mean, I think that's probably fair. I think Dorking are probably getting late in games and probably on empty, and not just late in games. They're probably starting games on empty. So yeah, I think it is credit to Mark the fact that they are still in the mix for the title, given their injuries. You know, a team close to my own in Torquay sacked the manager after an injury crisis and a downturn in fortune. So yeah, I think Mark's done a good job to get them where they have done, and yeah, I think that's going to be the big head scratcher for him in the summer, regardless of what division they are in, be it the National League or this one, as to how can he address that. You know, he keeps saying every year that he's trying his best to try and improve that injury situation, and no doubt he is doing. But ultimately, you can't get away from the fact that Dorking, for whatever reason, are really cursed in that department. So
it's 3 seasons running, isn't it? It's
yeah,
3
it
seasons
is.
running. And the biggest common denominator is probably the pitch.
Yeah.
But then you get the knock-on factors. The biggest one being that when you've got so many players out, the players you have got fit have to go through a greater workload than you ideally want to give them. And so then they start picking up injuries as well. And lots of clubs have suffered it. My own side, Aldershot, have had between 9 and 16 players out for the whole season. The whole season. A couple of players like Ollie Harfield and Josh Brookin that have not kicked a ball.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's by the by. I know all sides are affected. It's one of those things I find if you talk about sometimes babies, or you talk about golf, or you talk about I don't know, going to the dentist or whatever, people just zone out. They don't want to hear it. It's just really like, oh yeah, that old excuse, you know. But it's true, it's factual, and Mark's right to keep harping on about it, because that is the reason why probably they haven't actually had this league title sewn up already. And now we've got a crazy situation. I was going to hold it off I will hold it off until we see the league table, because Joe helped me with this. We've got some crazy stats on the National League South table, haven't we, Joe? We'll do it together.
Yeah, I think Western can still win the title, and they're not even in the playoffs.
Shall I put it up now? Shall I put it up
go
now?
on then. I was going to hold off, but Joe.
Go on, guys.
Yeah, so Western obviously with that game in hand, and Hornchurch as well. If Hornchurch win and Western win, then Hornchurch go into second on 79. Western move up to fifth with 76, and with 2 games left each to play, any of that top 7 could win the title, which is crazy that we've had it 2 years running work out like that. I think Worthing will mathematically probably assure themselves of something on next weekend if they can get a win against Maidstone, albeit that in itself is not an easy feat, Ben. Yeah, it's just crazy, isn't it? You know, what a league. Even you look down as close as Chesham in 10th on 71. Only 6 points off the top 3 with 2 games left to play. So close.
Joe, just to add and just tweak that slightly, Ebbsfleet and Maidenhead cannot win the league. Hemel, look at that goal difference. They're 40 goals they've got to make up, and they can only get to 8 points. So realistically, I'd say that the top 4 and Western-super-Mare in 8th place can still mathematically win the league. And how about this one? This is the absolute mind blower. Nobody in the top 7, other than Worthing, have secured a playoff place yet.
It's mad, isn't it?
So whether you're Maidenhead, Ebbsfleet, Hemel, Hornchurch, Torquay, great, but it's not done. And someone else who would know this is Ben, because while we got the table up, Ben, mathematically, you can still make those playoffs, mate.
We can. Whether it's going to happen or not, though, is another matter. But it is so close. I mean, we might as well lead on to the Horsham game, because it doesn't really give me too much to talk about, because it was a very, very poor game. Probably maybe the worst I've watched this season in terms of quality. But I think Horsham, I would say that, their players obviously knew that they didn't have anything to play for, but I think they still wanted to spoil the season a little bit, which, again, they have to be professional in what they do. We didn't really make it easy for ourselves. And it was a strange game in terms of the fact that we just looked a little bit too scared to lose the game, I think, which, I guess given there's a lot at stake in that, every point counts. And I think I said to George after the game, I think, if we came here sort of November time and got a 0-0 draw, I would say that's an excellent point on the road, because Horsham's a very difficult place to go. But when you're needing to get wins on the board, it feels a bit of a dampener, really. But look, I look at it as in, obviously, well, I'm a bit at this point because our title hopes are gone now. We were in the running for until before that game. Obviously, Worthing have taken that away from us now. But if we win the last 2 games, it might be enough. It might not be. It really does depend. Like, a big thing, obviously, will be, a big crunch game tomorrow between Hornchurch and Chelmsford. We could probably do with a Chelmsford, probably a draw from that game, if I'm being totally honest. Anything really other than the Chelmsford win, because we're not really going to catch up with Hornchurch. We're probably looking at 5th or 7th if we can make it. It's still possible. Like, I think had we not got the point on Saturday, I think we probably would be saying it's game over. I think it would be a bit too much to make up. But look, if we get to 77 points, which, by the way, would only be 2 points, lower than what we got last season, that would be still a great cheer. I mean, if the season finished now, I think I'd be proud of the players, for what they've done. And I just would be gutted because we've held up. We've been in front in so many games this season, late on, and we keep conceding late goals. And that is the reason for me why we're not top. Because I think if we had a bit more depth this year, we'd be where Worthing are. I really think that, and I've said that for a few weeks now. But look, the good thing is that with 2 games to go, we've still got something to play for. It's not a dead rubber for us, but we need to win the last 2 now. It's no doubt about it anymore. And you're going against the league leaders who want to come and, almost start the party almost, because a win there, all but secures the league, obviously, depending on how Hornchurch get on tomorrow against Chelmsford, just with that superior goal difference. And we know it's going to be tough, but our record against Worthing isn't too bad. We've sort of, we're quite, in the middle really with it. I mean, we've obviously beat them in the playoffs. They've beaten us in the playoffs. We've thrashed them before. They've thrashed us. The game earlier on the season, we should have won. We scored a 93rd minute, winner, I thought, and then they score 60 seconds later. So it is going to be tough. And then you got Bath City as well, who obviously by that point are probably going to be relegated. So they're going to have nothing to play for. So it's a game, but the thing is, though, at home, we've been brilliant in terms of the fact that we've won the last 6 at home. We've probably been the informed team, taking away maybe Worthing. And I just feel like now it is what Maidstone side turns up on Saturday. Because if it's a side that turned up against Hornchurch, barring obviously you consider the 4 goals, we've got a great chance of getting a result. But if it's a team that turned up on Saturday at Horsham, we're not going to get a result. Simple as that. But we're still in the fight. Can't complain about it with 2 games to go. And obviously we've still a cup final to look forward to as well, and Kent Senior Cup. Still got a chance to make it a good season, but we'll see. In George we trust, I'm sure. So yeah, we'll see how we go.
Quick question to both of you chaps, and Shara if she wants to answer as well. But when I talk about finishers now, I don't mean people putting the ball in the net. I mean, like we talk about substitutes now, generally get called finishers. It seems to me, and I'm not watching all these games in detail, but Worthing are the best finishers of games. Brad Dollahan's one of the top scorers in the division, but he don't necessarily always start. And I tell you what, the amount of times you see him scoring a 90-plus goal, Joe, Worthing seem to have, whether they've been fortunate with injuries or have just built a really good squad with good depth and cover, bit of both perhaps, but they seem to be the ones that can go very late into games and take it up a gear. And in modern football, that's massive, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's been probably the key for Worthing, adding those 2 strikers mid-season in Ashley Addison and Victor Mikowski. If they don't play, then they've got Brad Dollahan to come in. They got Romario Moulton. They got Razak Coleman de Graaf, and I think most of those would start for most teams, if not all, in the league. So, yeah, it's a crazy wealth of riches for Worthing, who have assembled a really good squad. And as we'll come on to with Torquay, the fact that you can have 4 or 5 players on the bench that would start for most teams. I think that's the difference at this point. That's where the likes of your Chelmsfords and your Maidstones will probably fall short, because you look at the benches and you think there's perhaps just that lack of quality to go and change a game. But, if Worthing need a goal, they bring on a player like Brad Dollahan. It's a nice luxury to have.
Definitely. I'm just going to quickly go to the chat, because we do have some of our Absolute Football podcast peeps in the chat. So we have our very own Jen. She has put a hey micro. She's put, sorry I'm not here tonight. I'm a little raw, bless her. And she's put, but love you all. And I know we have as well. We have Sam the man. Evening all. Hope you're having a great Monday. Bless him.
Oh, he's come on here to watch us to cheer himself up a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah. And we've also got our very own Dreety as well. Evening all. Hope everyone is well today. We hope you are too, Dreety, even though you probably are because you're a little Miss Positive. Honestly, if you ever need cheering up, go to Dreety. She's always smiling, honestly. Always got something positive to say. Bless her. Joe, I will come to you, though, to talk talkie, if you like. Tell us about it. Great win.
Yeah, a good win. It's different. You don't know what you're going to get with Slough. I think given the fact that they're at this stage of the season, they're on the beach a little bit, obviously safe. They're not going to go down. They have lost a couple of key players. Obviously lost Mikowski mid-season. They've lost Adam Debois as well to Gateshead. And they've had a lot of youngsters from their academy having to play games as well. So it's a little bit of a makeshift Slough, but they're always a very capable side. So I wasn't sure what to make of it. But if Torquay had any doubt, then going 4-0 up inside 20 minutes certainly helps. Really positive start, backed by 800 Torquay fans at Slough on the weekend. Terrific away support. Dylan Morgan on the score sheet again. Jordan Young, you talked, Rob, about teams being able to, bring players off the bench. Jordan Young didn't play last week against Bath City. He sat on the bench. He came on and scored this week from the off. Sonny Blulow Everton, who has been my pick. He got my vote for player of the season and young player of the season at Torquay. He didn't even get on against Slough. But Rhys Evans and Dion Moore both came on. Dion Moore with two brilliant finishes. One, albeit very easy, a tap in from close range. The second, a really well taken finish into the bottom corner. And then Rhys Evans with a really good finish to make it 5. That being said, the goal of the day goes to Slough. If anybody's seen the highlights, Jaden Celestine Charles cutting in from about 25 yards and smashing it into the top corner. Bit of a positive for him on the day. But yeah, it's a really good performance at Torquay. They seem to have, found their shooting boots under Jimmy Ball. He certainly made a really positive impact. I think it will be a little bit too late for us to win that title. I'm hoping that Maidstone may be able to do us a favour next weekend, because I think if Torquay win both games, I think we will win the league. That being said, I think Worthing will go over the line. But one thing is for sure is we're going into that final few games of the season and hopefully the playoffs now with real confidence. We're scoring, we're playing well, we've got players back fit, and we're in really, really good shape.
I think we all need Maidstone to beat Worthing, apart from Worthing fans, just to give us the most ridiculous last, day again. I mean, I think it means slightly more mixed this year, won't it? So last year it was 6 teams could win the title on the last day. I think it's going to be a bit, maybe 3 or 4 could win it on the last day this year, and then a batch of clubs don't know whether they're going to be in the playoffs or not, because that was pretty much done, wasn't it, come the last day of last year. So it's proving to be one heck of a division. I think our 3 divisions, the National League as a group, they just are the leagues that keep on giving. They never let us down, do they?
Never, ever, ever. Just before we move on as well, obviously, I do have Steve's match report from a Slough point of view, so I will read this one out. So he's put Torquay at home. We are so far on the beach. Absolutely nothing to play for. At least we made it look like a competitive football match for an entire 7 minutes this week. I'm so sorry. Bless him. We are so poor at the Mo. It's unbelievable. Having 3 players on the bench who weren't even fit enough to come on, and Scotty playing when he's clearly not fit from his torn hamstring. We are just stumbling to the summer now.
Yeah, and I think for Slough, they've had a good season regardless. Obviously, had that little cup run, didn't quite get past Macclesfield, I think it was. And And ultimately, given their budget and their resource, I think Scotty has done a fantastic job again to keep them safe. Not just safe, they're well safe for that bottom four. They've had a good season in bringing through lots of young players, the likes of Mikowski, the likes of Osalaja, who I imagine will follow suit and probably get a move higher. He does a fantastic job there, Scotty, and obviously nice to hear his comments afterwards. He said that he hopes that Torquay go on to get promoted. In his opinion, he felt that we're the best team that he's played this season, albeit perhaps helped by the fact that we've scored 12 goals in 2 games against Slough. So, he's done a great job. And I know the last couple of weeks have not been too great if you're a Slough fan, but I think over 46, you've got to be quite proud of the job that he's done there.
Definitely. Ben, is there any others you want to touch on here?
The only other one probably would be the Hornchurch one against Ebbsfleet. I mean, it was important for Hornchurch to obviously, recover from obviously what would probably have been a bad defeat for them, obviously against us on Monday. Obviously, defensively, they know they would have needed to shore up, and obviously the goal came very late on with Angelo Balanta again showing his experience, calmly finishing in from sort of around the edge of the 6-yard box. Again, that's a big, huge 3 points for them. And again, it just keeps them in that title race, because if they do win it against Chelmsford tomorrow, it really does open the door up. Because as we were saying, if we can get any kind of result, obviously from a neutral perspective, we can kind of get any result against Worthing on Saturday, then it will set up for a great last day of the season, to be honest. And the fact that we're even talking about, it's not even just 2 teams potentially winning the league on the last day, like it would be in most leagues. We were talking about, we're probably a little bit disappointed there's only 4 this year after having 6 last year. It's like, I think there's nothing quite like the National League, North and South, like, the last couple of years. I don't know what it is, but it's just been absolutely phenomenal. And obviously, I hope it goes down to the last day, because it'd just be really, really exciting in that. And, you don't want to see someone wrap it up with a game to go, because that's what you're in football for. But hopefully we'll do our bit to try and give Torquay a little bit of hope as well. But, as I say, it would depend on what side it turns up for us. But, yeah. Big well done to Hornchurch, and massive 3 points for them.
Anybody else got anything they want to touch on this slide before we move on? Yeah, Rob?
Just quickly, I'll leave Tunbridge to Joe, because I know he'll have a point on Tunbridge.
Yeah.
But Weston-super-Mare, let's just look at them in isolation now. They punched above their weight last year, and everyone said they can't keep it up. They didn't quite keep it up to the very end. But here we are, 2 weeks from the end of the season, 3 games from the end of their season. And they get the job done again, 1-0. And as we've said, just repeat what we've said, Weston-super-Mare can still win the National League South title with 3 games left. I think it's phenomenal. I went there for the first time myself as a club. Sadly, in the FA Cup this year, they beat Aldershot. They found a way to beat Aldershot on the day, and it's something they must do continually. I think it's phenomenal that Weston-super-Mare, to be honest, are even in the National League South. The fact that they are punching away at the top end of it. Joe, I mean, it's more your part of the world than me, but just I don't know if you've got any final thoughts on Weston-super-Mare, and then on obviously take the Tunbridge point.
Yeah, I think Scott Rogers has done a good job. I think you've obviously got to give a lot of credit to Scott Bartlett for the job that he did there whilst he was there in terms of putting in place those foundations. They brought in a really good experienced assistant in AD Britton, someone that's been around non-league for a long time. And they've brought in some really good players. They are in a really good location, I think, in the part of the world where they get off a lot of players from Bristol City, and Cardiff and Bristol Rovers and Exeter. Some really good academies locally. Really, really well run. Fairly well backed in terms of giving the manager the resources. And yeah, you'll be pleased with the season that they've had, obviously with that FA Cup run as well. If they can get into the playoffs, they'll stand themselves in good stead, because they don't score a great deal of goals. They're not the highest scoring team, but they're really difficult to beat, always grind out home wins and clean sheets. And I think they've only lost 3 at home all season. So if you had to go to Western in the playoffs, you wouldn't want to do that in a hurry.
That's it. And the other thing we haven't really touched on, we talked about who might win the title, who might get in the playoffs, but where you finish within the playoffs is so massive, isn't it? So I think Mark White in his post-match interview on Saturday was talking about, okay, the odds are a little bit against us now, but if there's a way, we'll find it. But he was talking, and I queried this with you, Joe. I said, well, he was talking about, we got to find a way to finish at least second. And I was thinking, well, what's the difference between second and third? It's one home semi-final. But Joe, you pointed out to me, didn't you, that in the National League South and the National League North, they don't play a final at a neutral venue, do they? They play it at the most highest placed team that's progressed to the final. Yeah. And I think that's what Mark was referring to. He's thinking, okay, if we have to do it the way we did it before, we'll do it the way we did it before, with a home semi-final and then a home final. So that's his next goal if they can't win the league. And coming back to Weston-super-Mare, they could finish outside the playoffs. They could finish in any one of second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh as well. So they will desperately want, as a minimum, to qualify for the playoffs and have a home game, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird, actually, that Mark is so, adamant that he wants them to finish second. I actually, looking at it as a neutral, I would have thought that they potentially, as long as they didn't have to play Torquay in a final, that they'd actually want to play away, given their injury record at the moment. Mark himself says they prefer playing on grass.
But they also got a better home. They've got a much better home record, Joe, this season.
Yeah, swings and roundabouts. I think if you're Mark, you just want to, make sure you take it to that last day and give themselves a chance of not having to go through the playoffs.
Definitely. Just an update as well from the United game. Martinez has been sent off for pulling Calvert-Lewin's hair.
Which is a red card these days.
Yes, it is.
Right,
does anybody else have anything they did want to touch on this slide? Nope. I'm just going to quickly go to the chat before we look at the table. So Chris has mentioned a 0-0. I know a 0-0. Luke isn't here. I'm hoping he gets here for National League, considering Gateshead and their Great Escape. I've not seen him yet. I'm hoping he's okay, bless him. Oh, I think he might be away. I think he actually put in Thursday's show that he was going away, so that might be why, to be fair. I always get worried, bless, when our regulars aren't in, I get really worried. Graham's put Torquay netting 5 away from home too. Very impressive.
Yeah, just a word for that away support as well. I mean, there was 1,200 at Slough in the attendance, and there was 800 Torquay fans. I mean, I think to almost make all these away games like a home game for us is just brilliant.
Love that. Chris has put as well, Tottenham beating Dorking, what a great result for the home team. Then we've got to, hadn't paid that much attention to the South, Dorking capitulated. How can you not pay attention to the South when we do it every week and you're here, Danny?
And we talked about the reasons why they have as well, yeah. Yes, Bath don't have an R next to their name at the moment. They don't, because they do have game in hand. Only one post office in the South shows you how freaking close it is yet again. Yes, everybody loves the post office. That's thanks to Sam. Instead of playoffs, it now stands for post office on this podcast. As well, Chris has mentioned, obviously, Tuesday's fixtures. AFC Tottenham versus Bath City. Hornchurch FC versus Chelmsford City. Weston-super-Mare versus Horsham as well. So some great games there on Tuesday. Was that a cough you had there, Ben?
No, not at all. Something stuck in my throat.
That's Tourette's there, mate, wasn't it?
And Danny mentioned as well, it's not as exciting with live score updates now. It was better when people had the radios waiting for the updates.
Yeah,
I think everything now, yeah.
We had the teleprinter in early on. I forget what it was, but he actually put Worthing 7, then open brackets 7 written in capitals. You're too young, Shah. Joe, you're too young. I don't know if Ben, I think even you might be too young to remember how we used to see the scores come up on BBC final score or whatever it was on
Oh,
the
yeah,
tape.
yeah.
And they used to come on like this, and as the letters came, then the score came in of the first team, and you see your team is like 2, and you're like yes, and then the other team 3, and you're like no. So we love that.
I think everything now though isn't as exciting with like social media, because even like transfer deadline day, Fabrizio, doesn't he ruins everything. Like
Yeah.
I used to love sitting there on transfer deadline day. As much as I loved it, I hated it at the same time in case obviously one of our players was to go. But now I feel like it's not as exciting because everything's just all over social media, isn't it now? So we will go to the table if it will let me. I am going to read it out on my phone now because, as everyone knows, my eyes do me quite dirty. So bear with me, guys. I know I need to go back to the opticians. I do. My glasses are wonky at the minute. So it's not because of Dale. They've not fell off, by the way, everyone. So top of the league, we do have at the moment Worthing on 81 points. Dorking Wanderers are second on 78 points. Torquay United, they are third on 77 points. Hornchurch are fourth on 76 points. Hemel Hempstead are fifth on 75 points. Ebbsfleet United are sixth on 74 points. And Maidenhead United, they are seventh in that last playoff spot with 73 points. And as we did mention, Worthing are still the only team to confirm a playoff spot at the moment. And then in the relegation zone, we do have 3 relegated teams now. So 21st, we do have Chippenham Town on 42 points. They have been relegated. I know Bath are below them at the moment in 22nd place. They haven't officially been relegated yet due to obviously the game in hand, and they have 40 points. 23rd spot, we do have Enfield Town on 37 points. They have been relegated as well. And bottom of the National League South, we have Eastbourne Borough on 33 points. They have officially been relegated too. Right, I'm going to go to the north, but Ben, I'm going to have to leave you with it a minute because I'm going to have to go and grab a drink because I do have a frog in my throat. I will be back. I will be back.
Of course, I'll lead the way. Joe, any standouts for you from the National League North?
Yeah, I think the Chester win. They have slowly been going about their business really well under Conor Rawlinson, obviously the former Notts County defender, now in charge of Chester. And yeah, for them to beat AFC Fylde 1-0, obviously the goal that people have seen on social media, certainly an unlikely goal scorer being Tom Davis, the defender, centre half, with a exquisite bicycle kick on the edge of the area from a free kick to give them the win in that one. For AFC Fylde, they have a lot of injuries. It seems to be the theme in the podcast already of teams with injury crises. Obviously, no Danny Ormerod for them, Jonathan Oosterbassi and Alex Healy-Byrne as well, all out. So, yeah, difficult one for Fylde, but Chester are doing really well at home, especially, and are right in that mix for that playoff. So, good win for them.
They've rocketed right up the table as well, haven't they? Because I'm pretty sure they were in the bottom half at one point, and now, like I said, they've just this calendar year, they've just obviously got into some great form now, and established themselves now like of a serious challenge now for playoffs. Obviously, depending on how results go with Merthyr and Buxton, they're probably the team to fear right now, I would say. Outside obviously of the top two. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, Rob. Do you feel like that they're the team to watch at the moment?
Yeah, I think really dangerous because they've been under pressure all season, and it's felt like they were underachieving. And we had the whole, what is he going? Is he staying with the manager? And all of that. And now they're just getting it right on the pitch, and they've got momentum at the right time. And there's no better win than a 1-0 win at home to the side that were pretty much romping to the title. Of course, the reverse of that is the first little swing in the National League North title race back in the other direction for a few weeks now, with South Shields winning 5-2. I haven't got anything on that game. One of you guys might want to cover that. Did you want to cover that one?
Yeah, can do. I mean, because for me, looking at it, obviously, again, a great result for South Shields against the Radcliffe side, who again are probably on the beach now, I would say, because I think they're obviously their playoff hopes are pretty much gone. But for me, obviously, 5-2 is rocketed their goal difference up, because it could well come down to, obviously not maybe goal difference, it might well come down to goals scored at the moment, because there's only one goal difference between them. South Shields they've got Macclesfield tomorrow night, which could well be, the decider to see where this title could potentially be heading, because we could be heading towards, a last day phenomenon like the National South, and obviously as well as the National League. But again, like these teams, South Shields and Fylde could both finish on 100 points, and one of them's not going to get automatic promotion. It's obviously we'll touch on the National League. It is absolutely mental, but you've got to give some South Shields some credit, because they haven't backed down, have they? It could have been so easy for Fylde to really sort of take the league now by the storm in the last few weeks, but South Shields is certainly still giving them a run for their money, and I think it definitely isn't over by a long shot. Even if maybe South Shields don't get a result tomorrow against Macclesfield, with the 2 games to go, it's still all to play for.
Definitely. Yeah. In the chat as well, I do have Daz. I can't say Dazzler because I just want to say it in a Cockney accent. I'm going to hurt everybody's ears if I do that. But he has put, whatever happens for South Shields in the next couple of weeks, it's still been an amazing season for us regardless. Exceeded all of our expectations. What a brilliant appointment Ian Watson has been. I love that. I don't know who to go to because I'm a bit confused because I ran off to get a drink.
It's okay. Well, I'll pick it up because Ben kind of came to me for an opinion on the first one, but I held off because I wanted to talk specifically about the side I always want to talk about for 2 reasons. Bedford Town, who won both games over the Easter weekend and went up to 50 points. They got a 2-2 against Hereford. In terms of the game, they were 2-0 up at half-time, and Hereford did well to come back and get a draw. Could be a vital point for Hereford. Bedford now on 51 points, but still not certain of staying up. One of 2 sides on 51 points. And it's crazy, really, how many they're going to need to stay up this year. It could be 53, 54, which is bonkers. But more so after that game and yesterday, one of the best managers and one of the nicest guys that I know in National League football has resigned. Lee Bircham, the Bedford Town manager. And he did so in such a classy way. He said, I've gone for now because I didn't want to just peter out after the end of the season. I wanted to come up and say that we're not safe yet. We've got 2 more games and I don't know whether we're going to stay up or not, but we've absolutely smashed it out of the park as best we can do this season. And I understand this. He wants to have an upfront, I'm going, and he hasn't gone too much into the reasons. I suspect it's because he's pulled a lot of rabbits out of hats this year, and it's difficult to do on that budget that they've got at Bedford Town. But they've got 2 games left. He's almost rallying the troops for these last 2 games as well. And he wants to go out properly. He said so few managers get the opportunity to say a proper goodbye. And he's right. Very, very few do. Off the top of my head, Alan Kirbishley at Charlton. I always remember that. That was an amazing send-off. And our own Terry Brown when he stood down at Aldershot, and I was there that night as the whole ground paid homage to him and he bowed down in front of the East Bank. But how many of these do we know in our whole lifetimes? Can we think of 3, 4, 5 managers that have actually said, I'm going, they've left, they've agreed to leave, and they go with their head held high and hopefully a brilliant reception. I don't know if anybody else, Joe, did you want to add anything on Birchie as well? Because we've had him on our podcast recently. He's an amazing guy, isn't he?
Yeah, a real character. Obviously, we've had him on the podcast a couple of times. Someone that you can see why players play for him and respect him so much. Obviously, 2 promotions with Bedford. He's won promotions out of step 3, 4, 5, and 6 in his career. A terrific manager and terrific person as well. And obviously there's a vacancy in the National League South at Dagenham, and I'm not going to say that they should go out for him, but I think they could do a lot worse than go for him. Given what he's done on some of the budgets he has done, really good recruitment, plays a really decent brand of football, and it will get that club heading on the right direction again. Someone that's done that at Bedford when he came in, given the position that they were in, taking them to the highest place that they've been in their history. And yeah, I think, I know obviously there was rumours that they're down to the final two on that job, but whilst they haven't offered it to anybody yet, to my knowledge, I think that they could do a lot worse and have a look at Birch, because he's a cracking manager. And if he doesn't go to Dagenham, I'm sure there'll be teams at step 2 next season that thinks, we might take not a gamble on Lee, but we'll have him as our manager because he's done a great job.
No, I completely agree with that. Very, very good manager. Very good manager. Ben,
it's Joe's turn for a game now.
Oh, is it Joe's?
Yeah. Then you can go, go how you like after that.
I feel like I know I'm really confused. Sorry, guys. Joe, pretend that didn't happen before. Anybody you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, Curzon Ashton. I think that they were just being sucked into that relegation zone, weren't they? Obviously, got rid of manager Mark Bradshaw, and Adam Barton, former Curzon defender, took charge, and they were slowly getting drawn into that relegation picture. But to go to Chorley, a team who admittedly have underachieved this season, to go and win that 1-0, a real backs to the wall performance for them to grind out a 1-0. And has probably given them that little cushion on the bottom 4. Yes, obviously Hereford with those games in hand, but to get 3 points at this stage of the season in the position they are, that's a massive 3 points for them in their season. So credit to them, because it looked like they were just struggling to find a draw, let alone a win. So to go to Chorley and win, no easy place under a good manager in Andy Priest. That's a really encouraging result.
We were talking about that quite a bit, wasn't we, last week, when obviously Dickie were on about Curzon Ashton getting sucked into it. So, yeah, very, very good result for them. Just checking on here. Do you know what? I'll read out a couple of match reports. So we do have Spenny fan Chris. Obviously, it wasn't great for Spennymoor, that bottom result there. So Spennymoor Town 0, Worksop Town 1. He has put Worksop at home. To climb what Sean usually says, we were poo, basically. He used the word poo, though. Sean doesn't. He swears. So, well done, Chris, for PG. Only goal came in the 42nd minute and lost 1-0. Think that's it for challenging for a playoff place. Oh, well, we tried.
Yeah, I think we've got to give a lot of credit to Worksop as well. I think for their first season at the level, I think they've just quietly gone about their business. Not many people have really talked about them. Got a really good manager in Craig Parry. I think when AFC Fylde were last recruiting for a manager in Craig, before they got Craig Mahan, I actually said that AFC Fylde should go out and get Craig Parry. I think Worksop was step 3 at the time. Really good local manager, done a great job with them in terms of stabilising them at step 2, and really starting to, grow in confidence at the level. A couple of really good results recently for them. So to go to Spennymoor, who obviously still got those ambitions of getting into that top 7, that's a really encouraging away performance for Worksop, who are ticking along quite nicely.
Quick question. Has this been the best year ever that we can remember for promoted sides doing well in the division? Top division.
Yeah.
Scunthorpe and Borehamwood in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. National League North. Telford on the edge of the playoffs. Bedford ridiculously overachieving. Look like they're going to stay up. And then obviously Worksop, and who's the other new one?
Merthyr.
Merthyr. Merthyr.
Who've been up there, exactly. And then in the National League South, Horsham done amazing. Help me out, chaps. I'm sure there's another one at least that came up.
Dover done really well.
Dover done well.
Yeah, bang average for them.
Well, what will be interesting, actually, given that we are at that crunch time of the season, is that given that Gloucester are potentially they're in the playoffs in step 3,
Yeah.
we could have a situation whereby Merthyr may get moved to the National League South next year. Obviously, given that they were actually in the Southern League before they got promoted into step 2. So one to keep an eye on as we go into the final few games of the season. On Merthyr themselves, obviously, another disappointing result. It seems, I wouldn't like to use the phrase that wheels have fallen off, but for a team that were playing with so much confidence, they've really lost their way. I think given that they came into the division as this sort of really attacking side, playing some lovely football, it was always going to be one where you thought potentially the physicality may catch up with them eventually. And to lose against a really good Macclesfield side and now out of the top 7. So, yeah, really disappointing end potentially for Merthyr in what has otherwise been a really good season for them.
Don't be careful what you wish for, not having Gloucester. Maybe you don't get Gloucester. Maybe you get Folkestone instead.
Oh, I know. Ben, is there any you want to give a mention to?
I think I've mentioned Marine against Darlington. Marine have sort of slipped off a little bit. I think after their trophy exit, which I think would probably be a little bit understandable. And obviously they've had a few games to catch up on. They still have as well. But the win has sort of given them a fighting chance still. I think had they lost that one, it would have been probably difficult for them to come back, I think. But they've got 2 games in hand over Darlington, who occupy that last playoff spot. Yeah. And if they win that, they can put it down to 1 point. And obviously I know Merthyr and Buxton have still got that game in hand as well. But it is important that they've just kept their season alive for another week. And going away from home as well, because Darlington obviously they always make it quite difficult for everyone at home. I think they've always thrived upon a good home record usually, and again they've probably exceeded maybe their expectations. I think they probably targeted playoffs at the start of the season, and I think if they had been offered this with 2 games to go, I think they certainly would have taken it. But yeah, I think that was important for Marine, because they'd had a few defeats. They've beaten Chorley as well, I think a couple of weeks ago as well. So it's been a bit indifferent, but hopefully a win like that on the road, against one of the top sides in the division will maybe kickstart them again as they go into, their last 4, could be massive games. But again, for a side like Marine, there's no pressure on them in comparison, to some of those sides in that top 7. They'll probably absolutely loving this, also the fact they've reached the 60-point mark, which they would have been, thrilled about if they'd been offered that at the start of the season. So you got to give credit there to the team down there, Bobby Grant, for what he's done. It's incredible achievement, and it could still well get better for them. But they've got 4 games to define their season, and starting, I think it's tomorrow against Merthyr. So a side that are chasing it as well. So they need to do the business at home to give themselves a fighting chance.
Yeah, we're obviously at that business end of the season with. We start looking towards the awards for the National League Manager of the Season, and certainly Bobby Grant will be one that you'll be looking at potentially being in that mix to get Marine to where they have done, and obviously that FA Trophy semi-final as well. It's been a terrific campaign for them. So pleased for him as well. So gracious with his time, and obviously they lost to Wealdstone after, and I think they'll probably fall short, but I think they'll be really encouraged going into next season that they can build something.
And maybe if Dickie was here, which he isn't this week, and we loved having him on last week, maybe he'd say that Kev Wilkin? Yeah. Maybe he should be in that shake-up as well, because AFC Telford have come up and really, slow start, a lot of draws, to be fair. But they've really found their feet, and they flirted with those playoffs. They mathematically can still make the playoffs like Marine. So, and they got a good win away at Peterborough Sports, already relegated, of course, but they got the job done. So well done, Dickie's lot. And I think they can be very satisfied with their first season back at this level.
Yeah, I think it's been one of those seasons where you can make a case for so many managers. I think it's been very difficult to pick a short list of people that stand out as the best manager in the season. You could probably put a case for 7 or 8. So getting it down to a short list has been very difficult. What a fantastic season again.
Brilliant, brilliant. Just really quickly as well, I know we did mention Marine. I've just got a little comment from Matt. So, great result for Marine. Huge game against Merthyr tomorrow as Bobby's boys cling on to slim hopes of the playoffs. Fantastic job he's doing, like we said as well, because I mentioned at the beginning of the season and I said about Bobby Grant and how much my love for him as a player and the Rochdale side of me wanted him to succeed, but part of me just wasn't sure whether he had the experience and would be good enough, but he's completely like proven me. I don't want to say proven me wrong because I just wasn't sure. It was like the unknown, really, wasn't it? So fantastic again from him. And just on Hereford as well, I don't know if anybody's seen, but apparently Jared Bowen, isn't he, is helping them with their pitch renovations from a financial side of it, which is obviously fantastic to see. I know a player that has, obviously, I like Jared Bowen anyway. I think he comes across a really humble kind of guy and remembered his roots, where he's obviously been before. And I think it's fantastic that Hereford can obviously get this situation sorted, hopefully, because that's been massive concern, hasn't it, this season? So, yeah, I just think that's really, really good from Jared Bowen.
Yeah, and he's on fire as well. There's something else that reminds me of that. But he's on fire, Jared Bowen. Not going there with the rest of it. But, he 3 assists. What I meant was 3 assists on Friday night. And, and I captained him in my FPL team. Anyway, we're done with that now. Moving on.
What's to do with the chant? That's why I was like, I'm not singing it.
Everybody knows it.
Everybody does know it.
Yeah, I think even his partner or wife and potential father-in-law were all caught on film singing along with it the other week, weren't they? So.
Oh, yeah. I'll never forget as well the time when they won the last European Cup, West Ham, and David Moyes were dancing around and realised what they were saying and just suddenly stopped. It was on camera. It really made me laugh. But yeah, Spenny Fan Chris has put Hereford need to win versus Oxford City tomorrow night. That is for them a must win. And then he's also put some of the fixtures in for Tuesday. So Alfreton versus Buxton, Hereford versus Oxford, Marine versus Merthyr, Radcliffe versus Kidderminster, and South Shields versus Macclesfield. So a lot for us to keep our eyes on tomorrow evening. Very exciting times. Does anybody have anything else that they want to, I can't even speak, want to add on National League North? Happy to go?
Just mentioning that top one quickly, Alfreton and Oxford City.
Yeah, of course.
They're both scrapping for their lives. They would have been going hell-bent for a win on Saturday, and they've ended up with a point each, which probably isn't the best. Probably a better point for Oxford City, I think. They are outside the relegation zone, as we're about to see, I think, as you move on to the table, and Alfreton are in it.
Definitely. I needed to point out as well, 4 red cards. 4 red cards.
Oh, wow.
Crazy. Love a good red card, don't they? I know we pointed that out last week as well, didn't we, with the red cards? Like I mentioned, I think it was the Easter chocolate that's got to them all. They've had a sugar rush. But yes, we do have the National League North table, and we do have a few more playoffs. Yeah, post offices in the north. We love a good post office in the north. So, AFC Fylde, obviously top at the moment on 94 points. We do have South Shields in second on 91 points. Kidderminster in third on 78 points. And then we have Macclesfield in fourth place on 76 points. And all 4 of them have qualified for a playoff spot. In fifth, we do have Scarborough on 69 points, Chester a 6th on 69 points, and Darlington a 7th on 68 points. And then going down to the relegation zone, 21st, we do have Hereford on 45 points, Alfreton Town a 22nd on 45 points. 23rd, already relegated, we have Peterborough Sports on 38 points. And as mentioned as well, bottom of the table, we do have another relegated team in Leamington on 29 points. Sean has put more red cards than Spurs have had Premier League wins. That's not hard, though. That
It's
is
like you
not
only need
hard.
one red card.
Yeah,
No,
they haven't had one
it's
win.
not hard. I know. I know they were all making a joke saying Tyson Fury's won more fights at Fairground than Spurs has, kind of thing. Bless him, bless him. A word of thanks to Joe for your kind words about Marine and Bobby following their FA Trophy semi-final. Much appreciated, Matt has put. We have as well Murphy dropped from 3rd to 8th. Ouch. To be fair, though, to Murphy, I think that they've had a really good season. I know, obviously, it's sad that they have dropped from 3rd to 8th, but I still think that's a good season for Murphy. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
Yeah. No, to this point, they've been outstanding, way better. And they also coped initially with the loss of Ricardo Reis pretty well, didn't they? And they were still scoring goals, but then they did start to run out of momentum. I think if you're a Merthyr Town fan, you'll be really appreciative of it, but it's not done yet. You know, maybe this is the low point they need to hit to find something again. You know, they've got the game in hand. They're only a point outside the playoffs. If Murphy was to still make the playoffs, you'd have to say outstanding season.
Yeah, I think that, you know, any new side that comes into this division for the first time, the ultimate aim will be to stay up, and you know they achieve that probably pretty much by Christmas. So you know they've had a new ambition to try and make the players is something that I don't think they could have even imagined themselves. And you obviously hope that if they don't make the players or don't go up, they don't hit that what we call second season syndrome, where they end up being near the bottom four, and they think is that they have. It is going to be difficult for them in the summer to replace Ricardo Reis's goals because they've relied on it to get into this point. But I think, and it just shows as well that you need depth in this league. And again, of Murphys, you know, probably where they're based in the, you know, obviously in the UK, you know, and obviously players must be hard to come by for them as well. And, you know, being a part-time side, you know, they have exceeded expectations. I think any side, I mean, that's why I think Macclesfield deserve a lot of credit. I know everyone could talk about maybe they've put a lot of money into it, but ultimately they're still part-time and they've had to, you know, come up against some real top sides that are, you know, full-time, by the way, and, you know, got more resources at disposable than, you know, the likes of, you know, your Files and your South Shields have got. But Macclesfield could be in a position where it's in their hands. They could finish third, you know, which would be, you know, beyond their wildest dreams, I think, you know, for their first season back at this level. And it does give them the impression that they are back now as a club. You know, they're almost back to where they were, you know, obviously before, obviously the club, previous club, you know, had to go into liquidation. So, yeah, massive credit goes to you know, Rooney down there. He's done an unbelievable job, and they might be able to see the job through. Who knows? I think I don't think anyone want to come up against them in the playoffs, put it that way, especially if they're playing at the Moss Rose.
Definitely. And considering as well, Macclesfield have lost a lot of players to Robbie Savage and Forest Green, haven't they? And they're still obviously in that position, which is fantastic. But we will move on to National League now. And oops. Just my head. I got rid of you all. Just making it my segment, wasn't I?
I was a bit worried for a minute when it was just me and you. I thought we'd come up on this cam or something. Do you know what I mean? It was
I scared myself on the screen then. I saw a close-up at me and I thought, wow. But, yeah, wow. National League, and just in time. I mean, he's been gobby all season. As much as I love him, bless him, he's been gobby all season. But please do us a favour on Saturday. I will hand deliver you a present myself. But yeah, we do have Who Says a Title Parade. But just going on now to the National League, I will leave obviously the games, the Rochdale and the York, till last as always, because I know we do have a lot of back and forth with the chat on that one. But Joe, I'm going to come to you first on this one. Any you do want to mention?
Yeah, I think the one that stands out is obviously the Woking game against Morecambe. Good and bad, I suppose. Certainly the good, Jermaine Defoe. Been quite impressed. Only a couple of games, but I think that's his fourth game, is it? And steady signs of progress each time. 5 goals, playing well. He's someone that's, as an ex-striker himself, you imagine that he'll want his teams to play on the front foot and score goals. Ollie Sanderson with another goal or another 2 goals on the weekend. He's been terrific this season for them. One that they'll be trying to re-sign in the summer. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what they do in the summer, because they're one of those teams that I think are comfortable in mid-table. And I think if they can get a couple of really good additions, whether or not Jermaine Defoe can get 1 or 2 smart loans from Tottenham, perhaps, they could have a really, really impressive season. As for the bad, Morecambe, it's almost poetic that they lose 5-1 and that the only person that scores is Jack Nolan. Because at times this season it has been the Jack Nolan show. I think obviously that's been coming for a long time, the relegation. And obviously you'd imagine that if Jim Bentley had been there, I know it's easy to say in hindsight, if he'd been there earlier, they'd have had a really good chance of staying up. And to his credit, they still had a really good chance with him in charge for how well he's done. I think ultimately, in the end, they've had, obviously they had to assemble a squad really quickly. A lot of players through the doors very early on. I think it was their first game Aldershot, or one of their first games Aldershot.
They played at home to Altrincham and somehow won 2-1 late on. And then 48 hours later, they had to, with very tired legs, the whole team without a pre-season, they had to travel to the other end of the country 48 hours later and got well beaten, didn't they, at Aldershot, which was understandable.
Yeah, and I think in that situation, there's always going to be ones that, are a hit and some that are a miss in terms of their recruitment. I think for Morecambe, it's been a massive chasm between the two. They've brought in a couple of players who you would say are still Football League quality. Jack Nolan is someone you would imagine is still good enough to play at that level. He's been their one bright spark this season. But for as many Jack Nolans as they've signed, they've also signed a lot of players that you wouldn't even want if you were playing in the National League North, if you're honest. So, yeah, it's been a real difficult season for them. I think, for as poor as he was, I think if Ash had perhaps swallowed a little bit of pride and tried to make them difficult to beat rather than trying to make them something overnight that they weren't, I think they may have stood a really good chance of staying up. And obviously, what's that? 3 relegations in 4 seasons. Really, really sad for Morecambe. I remember them in League 2, flying high with Jim Bentley, and doing a really good job. Kevin Ellison leading the line at that time. Always a friendly team. And given the way they're going, they may be playing Kevin Ellison soon. So, it's really, really disappointing to see so many good people at that football club. Obviously, for Jen and Liam and all those involved, it's going to be a really interesting summer. Lots to sort out. Obviously, you'd imagine Jim Bentley will stay on. He probably wants to try and get Morecambe back into the National League himself. And you wouldn't bet against him doing that, but they've got to get a lot of things right, and they've got a lot of work to do.
There's a lot of ifs and buts, and you just think to yourself, if they did keep hold of Derek Adams, would they have been in that position potentially? So it goes all the way back to that. I mean, the way of looking at it is, I think, so maybe bar a couple of players, as you've mentioned, Joe, likes of you, Jack Nolans, they probably didn't get a lot of the players they wanted, that they would have probably looked at over the summer, because obviously everyone had already been taken by, the clubs in the National League. So they had to have what they got. And I think it's actually an important point that you made, actually, about making them harder to beat, because I think for what they had, it should have been, look, let's try and sit in a bit, be that, type team that's difficult to beat. A bit like, to be fair, not put it back to us, but a bit like Maidstone, because we've always been made ourselves difficult to beat. Use what we've got, our resources, and try and catch them on the counter attack. I think that would have been the best chance they would have given. But to try and, stab yourselves playing this, really, really exciting football, real attacking football, but it just doesn't work at this level. You get punished for every mistake you make at this level. That's what 100%. I've always learned. And ultimately that's what's cost them. And we have gone back to the fact that if Jim Bentley had come in earlier, could they have maybe stayed up? Possibly. There would have been obviously no guarantee of that. But I think they've got to take, I think they have got to try and take some positive more from the fact that they, it's an easy thing to say, they have got their club back, that they are And this might be the proper reset they need. I mean, look, Stockport have had it, York City have had it, Gateshead have had it as well. And, those clubs rise again. They will rise again, Morecambe. It might just take a bit longer. As we said, the National League North is a tough division, and they will have to be very clever with their recruitment in the summer to give themselves a chance at least of trying to get into the playoffs. I think that has to be their aim. But look, it will be a step back, but you'd like to hope that might be the lowest point they'll probably get. And, it's only up from here now for Morecambe. Like I said, we're all gutted for Jen, Liam, everyone involved with Morecambe, because there are some good people there that put a lot of hard work in, to ensure that they become successful again. I think, 5-6 years ago, they got, into League One, and that was an incredible achievement for a club of their size. And to be playing 6th tier football again, it's going to hurt, for quite a while. But I think that what Morecambe can do is just stick behind the team, and really give it a good go next year. They'll have a proper pre-season under their belt. They'll be able to hopefully get some of the players they want in, and they can start again. I think that's the way you've got to look at it now.
Definitely. I just want to, before I ask you all about the other games, I just want to talk about Brackley as well, because they have now officially been relegated. I know in the chat as well, North Stander has put Brackley and Truro relegated after one season in the National League. They did get beat 1-0 to obviously Scunthorpe United. What are your thoughts on Brackley, and do you think they could possibly come back up again next season? Just to any of you, whoever wants to take this one.
I'll take it only because I know you were going to come to me next, and that was the game I was going to cover. So a couple of reasons. Scunthorpe firming up that playoff position, a 1-0 win. Doesn't matter how you do it. There's 5 1-0s this week, which is unusual in the National League. It was a moment of class from Callum Roberts, a free kick, a really good goal that got the 3 points for them. And unfortunately for Brackley, sent them down. It's still something, teen games now, Andy Wing in charge, still looking for that first win. And they get to play at home to Aldershot next Saturday. A game that now is effectively a dead rubber, but I hope for both teams and both sets of fans it isn't. I've been to Brackley once before. I am looking forward to going on Saturday, partly because it's going to be my nearest game geographically, I think 43 miles away for me. So I won't have the usual 4-hour round trip to go and watch an Aldershot game. So I'm looking forward to going. I feel sad that by the first time I get to go there as a National League side, they're already no longer a National League side. And when I last went there for one of their many National League North playoff games 3 or 4 years ago, sadly they lost that day as well. So it is a shame. And I think we talk about the Morecambe management situation. If they'd stuck with who they had, or if they'd changed quicker, they probably or possibly would still be in the league. I think we almost know that if Brackley hadn't lost their manager to Shrewsbury, to the Football League, that they would have survived, because they were well on track for doing so. Joe, weren't they, when the previous manager was there, Gav Cowan?
Yeah, he's obviously doing a great job with Shrewsbury. All but kept them up. And I think if he'd have stayed there all season, you'd be confident. Perhaps not an easily staying up, because I think at times they have been a bit of a frustrating watch. But I think he'd have got enough results to keep them up. I actually think Andy Wing's a really good coach. I think if they can back him in the summer and allow him to bring him in his players, I think that he'll have them fighting at the top end of the National League North. I think it's weird, really, because I think when they had to go and get a manager after Gav Cowan, you'd all look and think, yeah, Andy Wing, he's probably the standout choice. He's been at Banbury, done really well, not too far around the corner, did really well at Solihull Moors. And on paper, you think he's a really good fit for, what they need, albeit I think in the short term, I think the way that he likes his teams to play is perhaps the polar opposite to Brackley. Yeah. Brackley came up by being difficult to beat. They were defensively strong. They weren't that adventurous on the ball. They were really organised, and they, like to grind out a 1-0, make it difficult for the opposition. Whereas you've got a manager in Andy Wing who, as he showed in his last 2 jobs, He likes his teams to play on the front foot, play quite expansive football. And I think potentially just a clash of styles there, which is why he's potentially asking a team to do something which they perhaps can't do. I think that's why a player that Rob will know in Morgan Roberts, someone that he had at Banbury, has been probably the pick of the players for Brackley this year, because he's a really good technical footballer that's really well suited to how Andy Wing plays. So I think there's going to be a lot of change at Brackley in the summer. It wouldn't surprise me if he clears the decks and goes again, keeps sort of 5 or 6 players and tries to really build a team, because that team is not going to play the way that Andy Wing wants. And obviously they've backed him to go and get them success. And the only way that he knows how to do that is play some really good football. So, yeah, another team which is going to be really exciting summer. It's just, I am disappointed for them, because they've been like forever the bridesmaid, haven't they, in trying to get promoted to Brackley. Was it 7 or 8 seasons in the playoffs and losing and falling short? They finally got there, and then they're only here for a season. Real shame for them.
Question for the group as well. Possibly the only team, bar Forest Green, with no nearby train station too. Question to the group.
Yeah, I think Banbury is the nearest train station. I think it's either 8 or 12 miles or something away. Forest Green, it's Stroud, isn't it, or Stroud, however you want to pronounce it. So very, very much so. I wouldn't know exactly technically, but yeah, he's on the right lines.
Just while we're concentrating as well, and obviously for relegation battle, just one team I did want to mention. Obviously, it looked like they were never ever going to come back, but Gateshead and the return of Rob Elliott, I did want to touch on. Ben, I am going to come to you first. What are your thoughts on that? Because we all know what Rob Elliott has done previously for them. He's done an absolutely phenomenal job coming back, and just everything about Gateshead and the fighting spirit has been exceptional, hasn't it, since he has returned back to the club?
It's quite remarkable when you think about it. Like at one point they were sitting, bottom of the table, something like 10 points, adrift. I think they'd lost. I think Luke obviously be able to tell better.
16.
Was it 10, 12 games in a row? And
16.
it's like 16 points were they? So
no, 16 games on the trot.
16 games.
Wow.
16 games to go from that, to being safe with 2 games to go. Just shows. I mean, and look, they've had to probably recruit a few players here and there, but again, they had to work with what they got, and what they've done, is they've just shown no fear, and it just shows like a manager does have a big influence on what happens on the pitch. You can send your players out on that, especially if it's the same group, and you've got a new manager in charge. It is tactically, how you make yourselves, hard to beat. And look, I think the first indication of knowing that they were going to do it was when they beat York the other week. Because not many teams have been managing to do that this year, especially when the long unbeaten run that they had. And
they played well as well. It wasn't as if it was a fluke as well. They played really well against York.
100%. And I think if you were looking at managers, manager of the season for the second half of the season, I think he tops it, by quite a distance. Obviously, we could talk about Chip McNulty and obviously Stuart Maynard, but I think just what he's done there is quite remarkable, and you do like to think now that they'll kick on again and go again next season and have a go again for the playoffs, because that's where they've been flirting with for the last few years. Obviously, this season has been way below their expectations. As Gay said, had set themselves as a football club. But with Rob Elliott back at the helm, if they can keep hold of him and recruit well in the summer, they'll be in the mix again next year. I reckon they've just got to carry that momentum, but it is a phenomenal achievement, and fair play to Gateshead. Well done to them, because that's not easy to do in this league. They basically have been the Boston of this year's National League, really, in terms of the Great Escape. So all credit to them.
Definitely. Ben, I am going to come to you as well. Any games you want to talk about? Because I kind of put you on the spot with that one. Sorry.
No, that's all okay. Good. I don't know, because a lot of it's fairly straightforward on paper. I mean, I would go for Bourne Wood, to be fair. Matt Rush getting a hat trick, taking this total up to 33 goals for the season. And it makes me sad just knowing he's scoring goals. It's not with us anymore. I mean, I'll tell you one team that'll be kicking themselves right now is Sutton United. because they never gave him a go. They just never thought he would probably be the player they'd maybe thought they'd signed. Loaned him to us, and obviously went, obviously had a great loan spell. Bournemouth brought him in, scored plenty of goals for them, and now he's gone and scored 33. Obviously I think it's 25 in the league, so it's a great return for him. And that's the thing. I think he's second to only Ollie Pearce has scored more goals than him this season. And to be fair for Bournemouth, they would have been very happy with that, because they've had a couple of if different results again, whether they've just got their eyes on the players, but they've got to obviously think about. I mean, realistically, they probably need to finish fourth. Obviously Scunthorpe is still in their tails, but at least they're going to get a home advantage, for eliminator game, which is key for them, because on their pitch, with their support behind them, they could give any team a go. And I think now they just need to carry some momentum into those playoffs. And with the squad they've got, even if you are a Rochdale, York, whoever it is going to be in the playoffs with them, I think they'd probably be the team I'd be most worried about out of all of them, to be perfectly honest, because on their day they can beat anyone in this league. And the way Luke Garrett sets his teams up, and that he demands a lot from his team, but it works for him. And also 84 points, still potentially to get to 90 in their first season back at this level, regardless if relegation and that's a great return. But obviously to do it after promotion, just shows that what great job Luke Garrett done. And obviously they might have made a mistake, obviously letting him go in the first place, but it's a great achievement for them. And I think the great thing for them, they can enjoy the last two games a little bit though, but obviously their mindset will be, look, try and get to the 90-point mark and make sure we finish fourth place if they can, because they're not going to catch Carlisle. But that's a great result, and ends obviously Hartlepool's chances now of the pass really, and what's probably been maybe a slightly disappointing season for them really. I think they would have been really setting their eyes on it, but they've just fallen a little bit short this year.
Yeah, and just a point on Bournemouth as well. We've talked about a number of teams in the podcast already about having their bad luck through injuries. Just goes to show you don't have to have a big squad to be successful. I mean, Rob obviously keeps his spreadsheet of all the numbers. Bournemouth must have probably the smallest squad in the league in terms of certainly their first 16, 17. They don't really change a great deal outside of that. So credit to them for being able to sustain the push that they have done this year with such a small squad. I mean, I couldn't even tell you about players that have got injured at Bournemouth this year. Maybe only Callum Reynolds, obviously, Rob, obviously a good friend of yours and to our podcast. Potentially he's had a little time out through injury. But apart from that, they've managed to keep virtually all their team fit throughout.
Yeah, they've had a few injuries, but we're talking 2, 3, 4 out at maximum. Really, really shrewd recruitment. It always is at Bournemouth, and they've gently added throughout the season. They've gently strengthened where they've needed to. They, as a club, invest heavily on their sports science and their medical side. I kind of looked into this a little bit because I was like, why do clubs like Aldershot and Dorking have ridiculous, double figures players out? And I know the amount of times I think that if anything, even half as bad as that happened to Bournemouth, what on earth would they do? They do have a good academy set up, and they would have to fill the bench with youngsters. I appreciate that. But, I mean, you mentioned Callum. I'm not going to do the advertising for him, but Callum outside of football, if you ever follow him on social media, you'll see he's always in these leg things. I don't even know what they're called that you put on to recover in. He supplies an awful lot of those to other footballers where they sit down and relax with their legs inside these. I don't know. I'm struggling. I can't think of any of the technical names for it, but
I know what you're talking about.
They assist recovery, and that just says it all, really. Because when you watch Callum play, he's never been the fastest, but he reads the game really, really well. And I think just staying fit is the most important thing. They, for me, on their day, are the best side in the league, and that might be really hard for Rochdale and York fans to hear. But I've seen them, all the teams, twice this year, and Bournemouth were, for me, fantastic both games against Aldershot. Rochdale were very good and very clinical in one and not so impressive in the other. And York a little bit better. But the best performances I've seen have come from Bournemouth, and I understand why they can't do it week in, week out. But for me, without a question, whoever wins the league, the manager of the season is Luke Garrard, 100%.
Completely agree. I just want to touch on really quickly before we move on about the games, while we're on the playoffs and stuff. We do have confirmed playoff places apart from that 7th place. I just wanted to ask all your opinions. Do we think it is going to go to Southend with those games in hand, or can anybody see Halifax nicking it? Ben, I'm going to come to you first because obviously we do have the rest of them all confirmed. But looking at it, I personally think it's going to be Southend, if I'm being quite honest. But I just wanted to see if anyone else had a difference of opinion.
Can I just point out as well that if it stays like this, that top 7, I've got 5 of that 6 playoffs correct from my prediction at the start.
Yeah.
The only one I didn't get right was Scunthorpe. I think, realistically, look, Southend have got 2 games in hand, 5 points already ahead of Halifax. They can only get 73. Let's be honest, Southend only really need 1 more point, don't they? To secure that playoff spot in the last 4 games, because there's no way Halifax are making up 24 goal difference on them. So for me, it's Southend. They'll take that last spot.
Yeah, I'd agree with Ben. I think it's been another good season for them. I think the fact that potentially we could have a situation in May whereby Southend have got to Wembley 3 times in 2 years. I mean, some teams wait to get there for their history. So for Kevin Mayer to get them, obviously he's got them there a second time through the FA Trophy against Wealdstone. And, you wouldn't bet against them to try and win those playoffs because on their day, I think they are a really good side, don't give a great deal away. And they've got that little bit of experience from last year. But, I think even Halifax fans, I think obviously, Rob, you go on Luke Walsh's football podcast as well as I, and I think he's come to terms that probably it's going to be an 8th place finish for them this season, which, I think credit to Adam Lakeland, because I think most people expected a bit of a drop-off from Halifax this season. They haven't done. They've still had a really good season, been there or thereabouts. And for what they've had to do this season in terms of lose all their key players, bring in, really unpolished gems, if you will, from, the National League North, I think Adam Lakeland deserves a lot of credit for being in that shout for one of the managers of the season. Probably not the manager because they do miss out, but it's important to note, I think, that he's had another really good season in his stock as a manager is really improving. I mean, everywhere he's been a success. Obviously, perhaps, not as much of a success at Kings Lynn, but he's done a good job wherever he's been. So credit to him.
I'll go 99% Southend. I'm only going 99 and not 100 because there is a mathematical possibility where Halifax could do it.
Yeah.
Not only do I think it's done now, I already thought it was done even before. Southend only need 1 point. They've got 4 games to get it. And I'll probably, law of averages, see them secure their playoff position tomorrow night because Aldershot take on Southend tomorrow. Aldershot's current record at home is lost 5 and drawn 1. So, of course, I'm always hopeful that the Shots can get a win. If Southend get a draw or a win tomorrow at Aldershot, it'll be done. It'll be done before the weekend if that happens.
Do you know what I find crazy though? And like you mentioned, Joe, it could be 3 times we've been to Wembley in 2 years, and some people still want Kevin Mayer out. I find it absolutely ridiculous, honestly. It's just mind-blowing.
He's one of those managers. He's one of those managers that because he's done so well, he's almost a victim of his own success. Almost like because they don't kick on and win a league, winning the league is very, very difficult. The fact he's managed to keep them in and around it, if you told me 2 seasons ago that potentially Southend could get to Wembley 3 times and get 2 playoff finishes, I'd have absolutely snapped your hand off for that. So I think Southend fans are going to be a little bit careful what they wish for. I think obviously it's going to be an interesting summer because there's some off-field changes. Obviously, Director of Football John Still has gone. He looks on his way to Dagenham. And Jason Demetriou as well, Chief Scout, he has left as well. So New director of football come in. Obviously, there is rumours as to whether or not Kevin Mayer would, move on as well. But I think they'd be foolish to do so. I think him and Darren Curry as a partnership, and Mark Bentley as well. I think the three of them have done an excellent job there in their time in charge of Southend.
Completely agree with all of that. I know we mentioned it, didn't we, a few weeks ago as well, and it's just crazy, absolutely crazy. But yeah, anybody else got any other games you want to touch on, or do you want to talk Aldershot, Rob?
There's no other games I want to talk about. Don't really want to talk about that one. No, I do. I do because I wanted to add some stuff on Gateshead as well.
Of course.
So, a little funny story from the weekend too. There's a very brief interview between the two Robs, myself and Rob Elliott, after the game on Saturday. And the reason it was so brief is because I'd finished all my commentary and post-match stuff from an Aldershot perspective. And as I was leaving the ground, I noticed that Rob Elliott and Louis Story were saying their goodbyes to everybody as they were getting on the coach, and then got their suitcases and they were off. They were off to the station because I presume both are based down south. I don't know, but they only had about 5 minutes to catch their train. And I asked Rob if I could interview him, and he said, "Oh, could you walk with us?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you know where the station is?" So literally, I'm walking along and interviewing Rob Elliott, and somehow I'm pointing him, over the road here, turn right here, and we're walking to the station. And I hope they got that train.
Love that.
He was the first to admit that on the day, it was mentality that got Gateshead this win. It was a little bit. I can't think of the phrase that we normally use.
Smash and grab.
Yeah, it was a little bit smash and grab. Aldershot had 12 chances in the game. Gateshead had 3. But that's just me giving you a sob story. They defended well. They kept a clean sheet at the EBB. They created a lovely goal, a 1-2 with Chadwick and Harry Chapman, and Chapman finishing it off. And the real story of the day, apart from frustration for Aldershot, who had countless chances to score and couldn't, was the performance of Adam Dubois, who I presume was given the man of the match in the game. He played the entire game near enough with I don't know if it's been confirmed as a dead leg, but he was limping around for the whole game. There were some people in the ground that thought he was faking it. We in the commentary team didn't. We were just reporting that within the ground, people thought he was time wasting. Yeah. But whatever the issue was with his leg, he made 2 or 3 stunning stops. One down really low to his right with a one-handed fist off the line. Another one flying away to his top left-hand corner. And he continued to smash massive goal kicks against the wind as well. So we're all like, how can this guy be limping 1 minute and then launching these huge goal kicks and making these incredible saves? He was the man of the match. He was the story, really, of that game. And just some stats to finish it off. Gateshead from 16 straight defeats to 31 points out of 45. Quite phenomenal. Wow. Even more exceptional than Boston last year, and that was pretty special.
Yeah.
And both of those achievements massively more so than Aldershot's. But can I just have 30 seconds to say, it's a while back now. And it's not as incredible and as stunning as Gateshead's or Boston's last year. But how many people wrote Aldershot off this season? Yeah. Quite a lot. We were 7 points adrift. We are in treading water at the minute, and we can't score goals or get points at the moment. But that run of 7 wins out of 8 or 6 out of 8 for John Coleman ultimately got us safe. And ironically, we didn't score, we didn't get a point, but we got safety confirmed on Saturday too. Nobody was running around punching the air. It's not the way John Coleman wanted to do it.
No.
Somewhere after all the headlines, quite rightly, about Gateshead's incredible achievement, Aldershot ticked the box as well. And that's all I got to say on it.
Love that. Just before we talk, obviously, the York game, the Rochdale game, is there any other games that anybody would like to touch on before we talk about them?
No.
Forest Green in good form. Let's just say that going into the playoffs.
Very, very good form, Forest Green. Just there was some talk in the chat as well, just about Robbie Savage. About I don't know if anybody saw about the penalties at the end. Did anybody have any thoughts on that? Because I know there was quite a lot of chat.
Well, it's funny you say that about penalties because I remember. I think it was last season or the season before. I think it was the season before, and Chelmsford. At the time were going really well under Robbie Simpson, and they were in the top, I think, second or third in the league at the time, looking like they were going to fall short in the title race. I think to Yeovil at the time. And I actually went to go and watch Chelmsford play at Chippenham, and Chelmsford gave absolutely everything in the game. I think they actually won it in the end. And even after 90 minutes, Robbie Simpson made all of the squad take a penalty in preparation for the playoffs and the potential that they may have to take a penalty. So, certainly not the first time that I've heard of that.
I think it's a good shout because you can't recreate that.
We need it.
You need it. Yeah. You can't, you need to. What the secret is, Shah, you have to just run straight to the ball and then kick it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sorry, Manny D. Just in case. But no, I think it's not a bad idea at all to do it in front of a crowd, to do it when you're fatigued. It's as near as you're going to get to that actual situation you might get in the playoffs.
No, honestly, like a lot of people are calling it, but I'd love Jim to turn around and get our players to do it because we've been shocking at penalties this season. Absolutely shocking. So I'm here for it. I am here for it.
We can give Robbie Savage, and he does get quite a lot of stick for a lot of things, but I'm not going to criticise him for that. I think fair play to him.
Yeah, definitely. As well, we've got North Sander. I think I've only seen us win one penalty shootout. We usually bottle them, so fair play to them. I am going to come to you all first, though. I don't know if anybody did see the game. I caught bits of it while I was in work. I snuck it on. The York-Tamworth game. I don't know if anybody else saw much of it, but it was so frustrating because I feel like I don't think it was the best game, if I'm being quite honest, for both teams.
It never is at Tamworth.
It never is because of obviously the pitch as well. York, obviously, 1-0 win. Very good 1-0 win. But Tamworth missed a couple of clear-cut chances. I was hoping Ollie Lynch obviously put his chance away that he did have, but I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on the York-Tamworth game.
Just this, obviously, other than that final end-of-season game, Shah, when I looked at the fixtures, I thought, if this is going to swing Rochdale's way again, this is the game. This is the game. It's such a, in the nicest possible way, inhospitable place to go. Horrible pitch. Fans that absolutely pride themselves on making it difficult for you. You've got the Tamworth Massive, as I call them, in front of the commentary area there. They got full credit during our BBC Surrey commentary this year.
Yeah.
And Tamworth are literally... They have an identity. They play a certain way, and they love to take big scalps in their own backyard. Yeah. They didn't, they kept Spurs out for 100 minutes in the FA Cup, for God's sake, didn't they? I mean, Spurs were a better side last year. But no, they've beaten some good sides at Tamworth this year. They really have. And I didn't see any of the game, but I thought this could be a game where York might end up slipping up, maybe only getting a draw. And from what you're saying, Shah, the chances were there for Tamworth. Good chances to have nicked it.
Yeah, definitely. Did anyone see Stuart May now standing away? I did see that. And yeah, it wasn't budging at all. I did see that. We've got in the chat as well. Hey, Rob, we have York next. We are definitely going to beat them. I'm loving the confidence, by the way. Wow. Wow. I hope you're right, but wow, that is some great confidence. Please come in and say that with chest on Monday if you do beat them. And like I say, I will hand deliver a present for you and the Yeovil lads. But no, to be fair, Tamworth, it is very difficult going there, and I feel like York, despite obviously them finding it difficult in areas, I know it wasn't the best game from both teams' point of view. York got the job done, and a 1-0 win essentially is a great, fantastic, massive result for that. I will come on to obviously our game now because, wow, it wasn't looking good for us. Another performance where I think I've said it for the past few weeks now, our players are just running on fumes. It really does show it at the minute. We didn't play well at all in that first half. Wealdstone, they were the better of the teams, and I think overall they were the better of the teams until Ian Henderson come on, who we'll go into in a minute. But one player that I do want to talk about is Cook for Wealdstone, because I feel like he has had an excellent season this season. He is such a fantastic player, and he was so good. And just going down social media as well, all the Rochdale fans were saying how fantastic he was on Saturday. He was absolutely brilliant, and I just wanted to point that out. Wealdstone made it really difficult for us. We tend to grind results out and get the results at the Crown Oil Arena, Scotland, I like to call it, but you've got to say the right terms now. We tend to get those results against Wealdstone at our place. It's where we struggle is mostly at Wealdstone away, but they really did make it difficult for us. We just don't seem to be playing the way that we usually have done at the beginning of the season. Like I said, we're tiring. Our defence aren't really up to what they were standard-wise. But shout out to Callum Perry. He got in National League Team of the Week, and I thought he was fantastic. On Saturday, I know he's had a couple of games now where he has made a mistake here and there, but as a young lad who we do have on loan from Coventry, absolutely fantastic he was for us. And I know we were talking about grinding out results and having them moments where it is a smash and grab. And I'm going to say this one for us was a smash and grab, and it all changed thanks to Ian Henderson and his mentality. I feel like when we're bringing Ian Henderson on in the second half, he's completely changing the games for us. I don't know what it is. He's 41 years old. He has been nominated for Player of the Month this month, and he is still physically one of the fittest players on that pitch. And he has a mentality of, I just cannot describe it. He's just a different class. And it's just, the goal. He's so cool. He's composed. I don't know if any of you saw his finish for the equaliser.
Yeah.
Me and Ben were talking about it off air. And I think if it fell to some of them other players on the pitch, maybe they wouldn't have scored it. But Ian Henderson, how calm and composed he was, he obviously scored that. And then we brought Luke Hannon on as well, somebody who I really am so excited about. I think he's a fantastic player. We've been crying out for him to keep shooting since obviously he scored that goal. Was it against Scunthorpe, I want to say? Since that goal against Scunthorpe, and he had a shot similar to that one. He scored that winner, and I don't know if anybody saw the scenes on that. It was fantastic. We actually had 3 goals disallowed as well that game.
You had 1 disallowed just before, so you thought you'd blown it.
We had 3 goals disallowed. 2 of them were Manny Desirue. They were offside, and then the third one. The third one we had disallowed just before that was, I think that was, they've said offside. It was an Ebanks Landell header. I thought, I love an Ebanks Landell header. They're one of my favourite goals. I'm one of them old school. I love a typical defender kind of thing. That's my favourite position. I love a good defender. And fantastic goal. It did get ruled out. But like I said, credit to Wealdstone, because they did not make it easy for us. And going into Braintree, and a lot of our fans are already going on about that final game, and it's going to come down to that final game. But I'm still worried about Braintree because I know they're relegated now, but all pressure is off them. All pressure is off them now. And you tend to see it with teams. They want to obviously put in a good performance at home in front of their fans. And I'm still really, really worried because these kind of teams in recent weeks, we've struggled against. Like, we lost to Markham, who've been relegated. Obviously, Brackley made it difficult for us as well. And I've just got a feeling that as much as our fans are thinking it's going to be easy against Braintree, I really don't think it's going to be easy. I really don't.
I mean, just quickly on that, one result we didn't talk about in the National League North, Leamington already relegated. They went to Southport and won 2-1.
Exactly.
So yeah, it can happen, Shah. It can happen. But for what it's worth, I think you'll be okay. Can I raise, and I don't want to put any kind of damp squibble downer on it, that Rochdale now, so gradually, I think that's the third time now that you've got a really late winner and you're catching York up slowly. They've done it more times, haven't they? You did a bit of a York on Saturday and you got a late winning goal. But just without focusing on too much of a negative, what about this atmosphere in the ground? Jim McNulty referred to it in his post-match. I think he said there were pockets of people that didn't believe, and we all need to believe together. Is that just modern society, or is that certain? Because I've never really thought that Rochdale fans, with the greatest of respect, would be entitled, to show that entitled kind of thing.
Every fan base has got a group of idiots, Rob.
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly, I had an argument with someone at half-time. I actually had an argument with someone at half-time because they booed off. And this is after me ranting last week about them booing our players off against Hartlepool. We have literally, at this time, this is what's absolutely mind-blowing for me. I came on last week and said, we're nearly at 100 points now. We are still booing our players off at half-time. Oliver Watmuth actually turned around and looked at the fans and were like, what are you doing? Because they booed off that performance at half-time. And I'm thinking, yeah, it's not the best performance, but these players, they know as well, they're not playing the best. They are trying. They really are. And you can see they are really running on fumes. And as much as we say about, obviously, to the teams that are struggling, and obviously how it's a mentality thing with them, I think obviously even in the title race, it must be so difficult for them players and the York players as well, considering both teams are on 100 and odd points. Only one of them teams are going to get automatic promotion. It's going down to that last game of the season. Fans aren't sleeping. Like myself, I've spoke to York fans as well. You think what it must be like having an effect on these players and management staff and things like that. And it really does annoy me with our fans so much. And I'm going to get Rochdale fans probably watching me now saying, oh, she says it all the time. But not that long ago, we nearly didn't have these ownership like the Ogden family. We could have completely gone out of business. Last season, like the last 3 seasons, even that first season, we got relegated to National League. When we were going through these ownership problems, Jim McNulty only just really missed out on playoffs. Then obviously last year we got to playoffs. We obviously got to the semi-final of the FA Trophy. Yes, he's made mistakes. Yes, there's been times as well where he's still learning. I'm going to say it. We did bottle it last season. We completely bottled it. We completely self-destructed. This season, you could potentially say the same in some aspect where we could have, and I've always said it was in our own hands with those games in hands. I hate games in hands. I would rather have points on the board. And yet again, we've seen it, haven't we, where we've obviously not took it into our own hands and we've not capitalised on it. But I'm not going to sit here right now and say we've bottled anything, because I did not expect us to be in this position. And if I've said it last week, if anybody said to me, right, you're going to have 102 points, is it we've got now? I think it's 102 points, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're going to have 102 points. York are going to be above you on 104 points. It's 2 games to go. You play York at your place, last game of the season. would you take it? I think any Rochdale fan would have took that, because not one of us thought we were going to be in a title race. We all predicted York to finish top, York to run away with it, and York have done phenomenal, considering obviously the change of manager, the amount of draws they had as well. I've got so much respect for York, Stuart Maynard, and all of those players, because they've done a fantastic job. But our fans need to remember Jim McNulty has also done a fantastic job, and these players, because not one of us was expecting us to be in this position. We all thought York, Southend, we all thought, oh yeah, playoffs would be great again for us. Maybe try and get to Wembley this time, or try not to kind of self-destruct like we did last year. So it just really gets my back up when these fans, and I'm going to be honest, it's not all fans at all. It is just a minority. And a lot of these fans are the hanger on us, who you won't see them again. If we end up not going up this season, you won't see them again until another big game comes along. But yeah, honestly, I'm so happy with the position that we're in now. And as much as, like I've said, we could have capitalised on it, we didn't. And at the end of the day, these players and every single one of them, I'm so proud of. And they have gave me some of the best moments of my entire life watching Rochdale. And to say the year I've had, I'm not going to go into it, say the year that I've had and the past few months I've had going to football, as much as obviously it's one of them things where at times it's like, wow, my heart, like what's happening kind of thing. These players and this bunch of them have given me some of the best times, and I'm so happy and so proud to be a Rochdale fan. And no matter what happens, I'll still be there next season.
That's brilliant, Shah.
That's
Absolutely
me.
Brilliant.
Honestly, I love it.
Honestly, have yourself a moment, have a breath. But that is phenomenal. Yeah. What you've just shared with us. I want to just add to your point, really. York City got 96 points last year, and they're currently on 104. Yeah. So they've beaten it by 8 points. They may go on to beat it by 10, 12, 14. Rochdale last season got 74 points. 74. You're now on 102. Exactly. You've improved 28 points on last season, and you still have a couple of 3 games to go. So that is phenomenal. And any Rochdale fans watching that were booing at halftime on Saturday, do this.
Exactly.
Get your head a wobble.
I mean, the thing for me is like, obviously you mentioned, Joe, about what it takes out of the players physically and mentally. Look at York City. They've had to find different ways to win games, because before, the Gateshead defeat, they were smashing 3s and 4s past everyone. And you thought they're just going to, there's just no sign of them slipping up. But then obviously since the Gateshead loss, 1-0 to Woking, 1-0 at Boston, 2-1 at Altrincham, last minute goal, by the way, and 1-0 at Tamworth. So they obviously getting to that point now where it's like, right, maybe it is just now getting over the line now, isn't it? Like, saying no one's going to care, in 2-3 years' time, how you played in that to win the league in the last 3 or 4 games season. You've just got to win the game. That's as simple as that. So it doesn't matter how bad, if you go and play at Braintree, it's not a good performance. If you go and win that game 1-0, it sets up, for probably the best finale we've probably seen, in the National League. And it probably, for me, would eclipse, Wrexham and Notts County, 2 or 3 years ago, because we've never had a situation like this where it could potentially go down to the last game of the season and it's both teams playing each other. I've never known anything like that before.
Not since really, Arsenal, Liverpool. Was it
1989, isn't it? Something like that, yeah. And, I think this is the thing. It's like Braintree Town are the team that stand in the way of having a last day finale, because regardless of what York City do, it's all about Braintree, because if they can get a result against Rochdale, it may well end the title race. So
definitely.
Yeah, I think it's like I think you're right. It's one of those games you can't take lightly, because Braintree at home, despite their league position, have always been very tough to beat on their own patch, because they 100%. Can make it. And they all know they'll want to spoil the season. That's it. They won't want that final day finale. They'll want to take a scalp and be the reason why York City win the National League. You have got to take it seriously. But I'm with Rob. I think they will have too much quality, and even a scrappy 1-0 win would be perfect for it. But yeah, I can't honestly. I'd snap your hand off for 100 points this season, and you've still got fans booing. It's absolutely ridiculous. But
Crazy.
This has probably been arguably the best National League title race I think I can remember. Better for me than the Wrexham Notts County one because it didn't come this close. I think between the teams, I think Wrexham had it done with sort of a game to go or a couple of games to go. So this is the thing. It's got down to pretty much the wire now. I can't wait. I just want Saturday to come to sort of see how it goes now for that last game of the season because everyone's going to be keeping an eye mainly on that Rochdale game. Let no York City, let them do their business. It's all about Rochdale. If they can get a result of Braintree to take it to that last game.
Dean Brennan last year, do you remember he did a blueprint? He did a master plan for what Barnet would need to win the league. And he said 100 points would do it. And they got to 100 points and they ended up with 103. They won it with 103 last year. That was his plan. If he'd have been caught up in this year's scenario, it wouldn't have been enough, would it? So phenomenal.
Honestly, though, they make me proud. Make me proud. Proud to be a Dale fan, no matter what happens.
It's written up there, look, Rochdale, in brackets, proud of.
Yeah. I'm not proud of York. Well, I'm joking. Yeah.
You missed the go out. Yeah.
No. No, definitely. Like I've said on different podcasts and on this show time and time again, like we've said about obviously Jim McNulty and Stuart Maynard. Like they've just completely quietly gone along the business and what a fantastic job both of them have obviously done this season. But we will read the table out. So top of the table, we do have York City on 104 points. Rochdale are second. They've got the 102 points, but fantastic for both teams on this one. Just absolutely fantastic. Third, we do have Carlisle United on 89 points. Boreham Wood are fourth on 84 points. Scunthorpe, they are fifth on 81 points. Forest Green are sixth on 78 points. And Southend United, they are seventh on 72 points. As I did mention before, all of the top 6 teams have secured a playoff spot. Southend can do that tomorrow, can't they? If they do get, is it a point or more?
A point.
Yeah, a point.
Well.
As well, in a relegation zone, we do have our confirmed relegated teams. So 21st, we have Brackley Town on 39 points. Morecambe 22nd on 38 points. Braintree 23rd on 36 points, and Truro City, they are bottom of the National League on 31 points. And this is lovely. New subscriber from Worthing, West Sussex. Good evening to you all. Thank you so much for that. Do appreciate that. But yes, that is the end of the show. I feel like we've covered a lot as well, haven't we? A lot to talk about. But thank you so much to you guys. And as always, we are in collaboration with NL Fulltime. So Rob, I am going to come to you first. Where can everybody find NL Fulltime on the socials, and also give us a mention to where we can find yourself too?
Yeah, I'm at RobShot66 on X. And NL Fulltime should be available on all podcasting platforms. Our own pod, we did do one this weekend. We got a bit of stick from 1 or 2 quarters last year.
I could not believe that. Could not believe that. I nearly mouthed off and I thought, I'm gonna keep.
No, because then you'd have given that person the attention that they don't have.
Yes, that's what I've learned.
0 followers.
That's what I've learned.
Moving on. We did do a podcast this week. It had me, Dickie, and Joe on it, and Ross McNeely, the former Dorking Wanderers assistant manager, former Aldershot Town manager, and current Bromley under-21s manager. And it was really good having Ross on because we always talk about statistics and runs and league positions and points and how many goals players have got. And we went to Ross on a couple of things, and he talked about them tactically. Like the Woking and Morecambe game he watched. He had some good thoughts on that, and that was interesting. You can also hear our brief chat on the way to the station with Rob Elliott. As Gates said, secured their status in the division. So, thanks for having us on, Shah. As always, thoroughly enjoyed it.
No, thank you as well. And I just want to say, obviously, it is our first official, proper full season. I know it's not at the end yet, but what a pleasure it's actually been collaborating with NL Full Time. Honestly, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I can say that on behalf of all of the Absolute Football podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. An absolute pleasure. That's it.
Yes. And Joe, of course, representing NL Full Time too. Where can everybody find yourself, your fantastic work, and plug your book as well? We love it when you plug the book.
Yeah, so Off the Line blog on Twitter. Busy time of the year now with all the pieces. I'll be that's what I'll be doing when I come off here. Go straight into writing the pieces. And my book as well, Diamonds in the Rough, to see the big success stories out of non-league over the years.
Love that, love that. And of course, Ben, thank you so much for coming on. It's always an absolute pleasure. And yet again, I know I'm not saying I know it's not the end of the season, but thank you for all the work that you've done as well consistently. I do appreciate it. No I'm feeling a love tonight. But where can everybody find you and fantastic stuff as well?
That's not really fantastic stuff. I think it's just
stop putting yourself down. You do it all the time.
I don't really post that much on Twitter, Mo, but if you do want to find me on there, it's Ben Stones FC1 on Twitter. Although actually, I'm going to plug my TikTok now. Do it. I'm trying to start that up again with my goalkeeping. So if anyone wants to find that, it's Ben_1GK. If you want to find it, we're over 100,000 followers at the moment. I want to keep that going again.
Love that, love that.
Where can we find you, Shah?
No, and of course, if anybody does want to find me, I am Shah X RAFC. That is on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. My channel as well is Ball and All with Shah. I have not done much content on it at the moment because I'm going to be honest, it's taken it out of me talking about this title race. So I've just been doing it on air at the moment, but I will be doing a Let's Talk Rochdale very soon, I'm sure. Plus, I've been podding 3 times a week on here. So it's been a little bit busy. But of course, the main ones, we have the Absolute Football Podcast. On Twitter, we are Absolute Ball Pod. YouTube and Twitch, Absolute Football Podcast. TikTok, Absolute Football Pod. Instagram, Absolute Football Podcast _. Blue Sky, Absolute Football. And we have the Absolute Football Podcast on Facebook. We do have 4 live shows a week. So on a Monday, as always, in collaboration with NL Full Time, we are absolutely non-league and we talk about National League North, National League South. Tomorrow, Sam might not be a happy chappy, to be honest, bless him. But I'm sure he'll still put on the best content for you all, talking all things Premier League. On Wednesday, Freya, Paul, and the rest of Team Chaos, they are talking about WSL, WSL2 usually, but I think it's actually Women's Internationals, if I'm right in saying so, this week. So I think they'll be talking a lot about that. And obviously, I am back talking all things EFL football on a Thursday, Championship, League One and League Two. I am pretty sure as well Sean will be in the chat talking about his Northampton match report, bless him. But yes, thank you so much to everyone. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube already, subscribe, turn on the bell notification as well, because we do have extra content that we do regularly, can't say it, put out as well. So you will not miss it if you turn on that bell notification. But as always, thank you so much to everybody in the chat. It's been an absolute pleasure talking football with you. Have a lovely week and we will see you on Monday. Bye.